back with another episode of Chicago Blueprint. We got Mike Irvin here. He's here helping the kids with basketball and trying to show them the way to get into college from high school up to college and to the NBA. Mike, tell them a little bit about yourself and then we'll dive deep into you.
Man, from Chicago, love Chicago. I'm Chicago, raised Chicago, born Chicago through and through, Been, dealing with the kids for over 20 years now. Passionate about it, love it. Anytime I can help out my community and the kids to help them grow, I'm all about that. So been doing that for a while and I love doing it.
Okay. Well, before you got to basketball and helping the kids and everything out and peers, what was you doing before that?
Promoting parties. I was considered one of the top promoters in the Midwest for years. I started out promoting parties. It kind of fell into it. I played basketball. I'm from a basketball family, so I always played basketball. The promoting, I kind of fell into it. My best friend ended up getting drafted when we was 19, Antoine Walker. And then from there, I went to Boston with him. And, while I was in Boston, we hung out. We hung out. We played basketball, helping with the basketball piece.
Mm-hmm.
But then, I started seeing a nightlife piece. And then when I got to, when I was in Boston, I met a lot of people and they was telling me about events. And then one of our good friends from Chicago came up there, Dennis Smith. And, from there, he was doing a nightclub in Chicago and he, kind of showed me the ropes up in Boston on how to get started. And from there, I never looked back.
What's some of the clubs and areas you was doing clubs at?
In Boston, I was downtown. But then when I came back to Chicago,
Mm-hmm.
that's when I connected with a guy by the name of Corey Bradford, John Monopoly, Stephen Leake, Happy, Don C. Connected with those guys, and they kind of showed me the ropes on how the Chicago nightlife should go. So been doing that, and I was, had a great time doing it with those guys.
What were some of the nightclubs that you were affiliated with?
Any nightclub in Chicago, we probably didn't touch. Most infamous nightclub was Buzz. Buzz on Tuesday. Buzz on Tuesday was ridiculous.
I was 16, man, sneaking in that joint, man.
Yeah, the Buzz was just one of them from Jay-Z to Allen Iverson to Justin Timberlake. The who's then came through the Buzz.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. How did that hustle shape the businessman and the leader that you are today?
How did that?
Starting off in that industry.
Starting off in that industry, I had to turn business quick. I think, from starting in Boston and coming back to Chicago, whatever I did, I always wanted to be the best, So back then I used to read books on Russell Simmons. And then, when I read the Russell Simmons book where he went from promoting to, this big time music executive, I started looking at it from the business standpoint. Walking away from Boston, my first party was $5,000. And I said, okay, I got to quickly, turn this into a business. Because I was thinking, if I can make $5,000 on one party and I'm just getting started, sky's the limit. What can I do if I put more into it? So, it quickly then, after my first event, it turned to a business. Then when I connected back in Chicago with, business people who was successful, when I say like Don C and John and Corey Bradford and Spencer and Stephen Leake, them guys was already doing business. They was treating it like a business, the party side of it. So I learned quick from them, because I was a young one out the crew, so I learned quick from them.
Shout out to all those Chicagoans, real pillars that he named too. We'd love to have y'all come sit down with us. Growing up around the Mac Irvin legacy, tell us a little bit about that.
Some my father did. My father, got us all into sports. He was more like the father of the neighborhood, father of the community. I was growing up, I was a little guy. We was into basketball and baseball. My father was part of he started off in Jackie Robinson, where, Mr. Haley and my dad, we learned baseball quickly, over at Mount Vernon Park. So, and then that goes into basketball. Then my father, with him, I watched him, helping out every kid in the community how to get involved in sports and use sports as an outlet for a vehicle to get a free education. So, I learned about the business early on what he was doing. But one thing he always told me and the rest of my brothers and family was to help out kids, you got to be passionate about it. It got to be in your heart. Because if it ain't in your heart, it's no place for you to try to help out the kids. So, because it gotta come from the heart.
It gotta come from the heart. It's not going to work out because kids can see through it as well too.
Huh?
I said because the kids can see through it as well
too.
The
kids can see through it as well too.
If you're not doing it, from the heart. If you got any ill, ulterior motives or whatnot.
Yeah.
But your father and you guys built one of the most respected grassroots basketball programs in America with Mac Irvin Fire. Tell us a little bit about that.
Building that, it was it was just something he started and wanted to do. He used Chicago and said, for us to get our name out there, for us, our kids to get recognized, we got to travel. So he wanted to put together this travel team. He put together the travel team, and he grabbed the best players out of the state and then hit the road with them. Because, in basketball, it always come back to the major cities. So back then it was about New York, and then it was about California, L.A., and then, so when you talked about Midwest, you talked about Indiana. They so rich and big in basketball, so Chicago, we had to get us on the map. Even though we had some of the best players in the world come from Chicago, my father wanted to do it at an early age and start traveling. So he created a travel team. And ever since then, we was getting out on the circuit and taking the best players and showing the world that Chicago has the best basketball out here.
The rest is history. Yes, we definitely needed that exposure, man. Thanks, Pops, for getting that going, man.
Yeah.
It takes visionaries, man, to start things.
Yeah.
When your father passed the torch and you became CEO around 2007, what kind of responsibilities did you feel carrying the name?
I had big responsibilities because my father did it so long. He created, not created, but he helped out so many individuals, before I took over. He was just big, every ball player in Chicago he touched, he was instrumental with a lot of them, so for me to try to keep the legacy going, I had to figure it out. But when I took over, the first thing I did, because the name wasn't Mac Irvin, it was Illinois Fire. Mm-hmm. First thing I did when I took over, is being the creative, individual I am, I said, how can I keep this going? So the first thing I said was, for me to get players and continue to get players like my father did, I had to change the name. Once I changed the name to Mac Irvin, then I knew players would call me, instead of me always going out trying to find the best players, because I know he touched so many kids out here that if I put the name to it, I can have long-term success. And once I did that, it helped me and my brothers continue the legacy.
That makes sense.
Your father's name was Mac.
Yeah.
Was his name McKinley?
What's his name?
What was his name? I don't know. Mac is like abbreviation.
Oh, Mac is abbreviation. So his real name is McLaughlin Irvin. Okay. So you got McLaughlin Irvin. I got my brother named McLaughlin Irvin. Actually, he's the third. And then his son is the fourth. So abbreviated Mac, you know, and then we just stuck with him, you know, for his whole life because ain't too many people saying McLaughlin.
Yeah, right. My grandfather was legendary in the hooping scene. His name was McKinley Couchman, so that's why I know what Mac.
Okay.
Yeah, he was coach of DuSable back in the early, I don't know, probably 60s or 70s or something like that.
Did he have a great Paxton Lumpkin on that team?
He did.
He did.
He coached Mo Cheeks and all of them individuals. They have the book about DuSable. He's in there.
Okay, yeah. So my father used to tell me about all them legendary teams. He came up around that time. He went to Tilden back then, you know, in Tilden, but all his friends played at DuSable. And he used to tell us about all them teams. So you know, when it comes to basketball, I just soak up a lot of information. So as soon as you said DuSable and he coached there, that's
man. A lot of history between
a lot of history.
A lot of history, man.
Yeah.
I ran into people, man, that know my grandfather.
And I guarantee you my father knew your grandfather.
Yeah,
I guarantee you.
Sure.
Yeah.
What were some of the biggest lessons your father taught you about leadership?
The biggest lesson he told me was, you know, you to be a leader, you got to lead, never follow. That's first of all. But then, you know, always listen before you know, make decisions. You know, listen first and think about, then make your decision. So being a leader, you know, with the organization, I always try to think first and then pay attention to the room, pay attention to everything, then make decisions. So I've been successful at it so far, and I just want to, you know, continue being successful.
Did you feel a little pressure living up to that legacy?
No, it wasn't no pressure. You know, I said, man, well, my father, you know, he assigned me to run the program. I'm the second to the youngest. So, you know, he seen something in me, you know, where I can continue it. Not to say that all of them successful, but I think, you know, he chose me to go down this path because he probably figured how passionate I was and tough, and also, like, you know, you got to also be a promoter in this business. So he seen that part of me. So he knew that I was a people person, and he said, you know, I should be fine.
Mm-hmm. From your perspective, what makes Chicago basketball players different from anywhere else in the country?
The Chicago, we tough. You know, Chicago, being from Chicago, I think we have that edge, and that's why we have so many pros come from Chicago, is that we got that street edge. That street edge is, I'm tougher, I'm better than everybody, I'm tougher than everybody, you know, and I think that's the edge we have. I think nowadays it's kind of frustrating me a little bit when a lot of kids opt to go high school in other cities, because I think when they do that, you lose that toughness, you lose that edge. Not to say you can't keep it, because Chicago gonna always be inside of you forever.
Most definitely.
But I just think that you know, Chicago, we unique. You know, we the Mecca of basketball, and I just think that as long as you got that edge, you always gonna make it. And we got a lot of players to follow that lead to see, you know, when you say like Isaiah Thomas from the west side of Chicago, Mark Aguirre, west side of Chicago, tough neighborhoods. When you talk about Derrick Rose, Antoine Walker, you know, south side of Chicago, tough. You know, Tim Hardaway, you know, tough, you know. When the list go on and on and on up to Ayo Dosunmu, Taylor Horton Tucker, and the rest of the guys, Terrence Shannon, the rest of the guys, everybody's just tough. They got a chip on their shoulder. So I tell kids, whenever you leave Chicago, make sure you take that chip with you, because that's the chip that's going to get you over the hump.
You think they need to stay in Chicago so they can compete like steel sharpens steel? Because you're competing against that tough mindset.
You competing against that tough mindset. And I tell everybody this, like when you playing basketball in Chicago, and even if you playing in public league, they don't care who you are. They going at you. You can go head to head with anybody. And even the Catholic League is getting like that now. Like they don't care who you are. They trying to kill you every night. You know, when you out of town, some people know who you are. They kind of cold. Chicago, we don't care. You know,
you the big man with the big name. We on you. We own you.
Yeah, we own you.
You gonna show me.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
coming after you, and
Yeah.
that's what I love about Chicago. You know, you don't need a name.
Mhm.
What era do you think is the toughest in Chicago basketball?
The era, the toughest era. I just think the 80s and the 90s was just, it's just tough because when we coming up, it wasn't no telephones, it wasn't no TVs. It's like everybody out in the street grinding, figuring it out. The streets are tough. All that was going on outside there. The work life is tough. So now the basketball courts, because it's tough because you had the blacktop. You got to go outside and play. You got to get it done outside. So then you go inside the gym. So that era was just tough, where you just lace up your sneakers, and there wasn't no social media. You going to play against everybody and anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely. And it wasn't so ticky-tacky as it is now.
Yeah.
Cats would just straight out brawl on the court.
Yeah.
And get back to it.
And the 90s, I mean, it produced so many players. When you start talking about Juwan Howard, Antoine Walker, Mike Finley, Sherelle Ford, you had, I mean, you had the three of them. It's so many. For me, I'm missing, name after name after name. But I mean, the 90s just produced so many players.
Man, about the ones who didn't make it, like Paul McPherson.
Oh yeah, Paul McPherson. Actually, who made it for me?
He made it for a minute.
Yeah, Paul.
He was playing for Phoenix.
Yeah,
he
Paul made it for a minute. He was up
Mhm.
there in Phoenix for a minute, and he was unreal. But when you start talking about the ones like Amari Sawyer, who didn't make it, Amari Sawyer is probably one of the best point guards ever to come out of Chicago. He didn't make it. But then you go to the 80s, you say Brian Leach. You start getting names like that who didn't make it. But the 90s,
and Kevin Garnett partner before he broke his neck.
Oh, Ronnie Fields, man.
Young's out of the gym.
Putting his head in the ring.
In the rim.
Yeah.
In the rim, he put his head in the rim.
Yeah, putting his head in the ring, Ronnie Fields. Yeah. So it was so many. I mean, even my little brother, Nick Irvin. Nick was, 3-4 time All-State, averaging 35 or 30 a game, hitting 50 with no problem. Like, who was ahead of his time. So you had so many players that can really play that didn't get to the NBA level.
What high school program dominated when you were coming up?
Good question. And what's crazy is you got to know your history and know where you're going with athletics in Chicago. Is you got to know your history. So back when I was coming up, King High School, Landon Cox, dominated. I mean, dominated. Everybody wanted to go wear that black and gold. Everybody wanted to wear the Nike gym shoes.
Sure
I mean, he dominated. Simeon, Coach Bob Hambrick down there, dominated. Wearing that blue and gold, Coach Pittman, he was over at Carver High School, started out at South Shore, and then went over to Carver, and he had so many great teams over there. But it was a lot of teams back then. Them three really stood out in the public league, but then you can go to the west side with Marshall, Westinghouse, Crane, Whitney Young had a good stretch at the moment. So everybody had good teams because there was so many basketball players back then. So a lot of people had a good teams. And it's crazy you ask that because, when you start talking about CPS now, right, and administration they got there, right? I mentioned Bob Hambrick and Sonny Cox to those people in administration now. Who is that? Who is that?
This age group don't know nothing about them.
They don't know nothing.
I was just for the name drop. Like, did you remember off of King? Did you remember my uncle Romeo Shorter?
Man, Romeo Shorter was nice.
Nice.
Romeo Shorter was nice. Yeah, remember Romeo.
What young player today reminds you of that old Chicago toughness?
Young players today.
What young player one young
One
player.
young player that's
that
in
you-
high school or college or
Yeah, one in high school right now or college that you see like that kid got the dog in him. I could see him taking it to the next
one
level.
Chicago player right now. That's in Chicago right now. Man, I kind of really like the kids over at Mount Carmel. I haven't really been to many games, but then when I see Ron Johnson and DK Hurd, I see Chicago. That's what I see in those kids. So they I kind of I just go to games to go to kind of see, but them kids they're tough. They're tough, they physical, and they just young, and you can't tell them, I'm not better than a sophomore, junior, or a senior. I'm supposed to be here. I'm supposed to play. They just got an arrogance to their game that just favors Chicago.
Mhm.
And I think them two young kids have a bright future.
Shout out to my nephews, man. Great. I was hoping you picked them.
Let's go into the debate with Chicago. There's always the debate in Chicago about impact. Who hit the city harder, MJ or Derrick Rose?
Wow. You know what? Who hit the city hardest? So I'm listening to these debates, and you got a Kendrick Perkins debating about who hit the city harder.
Most definitely.
Kendrick Perkins, the only thing you know about Chicago is Antoine Walker when you played with him, probably in Boston. But I like Kendrick.
And the Italian beef.
Yeah, shout out to Kendrick Perkins.
Shout out to Big Perk.
Yeah, shout out to Big Perk. Now KG and Paul Pierce, they Chicago certified. Paul Pierce, when he played with Boston, we brought him in here. So him and KG, Kevin Garnett, who big up to Kevin Garnett, who when he got to Chicago, he put in work in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
So when everybody, even him saying Derrick Rose, he put in a lot of work himself, because the way he captured Chicago when he got here by hanging out with everybody and getting to know friends and moving around, like he did a lot. But when you talk about and Derrick has done a lot, but when you talk about MJ is MJ. MJ is
MJ is global.
MJ is global, man. I mean, come on, let's we talk about the impact MJ made on Chicago, and I think the people that's talking really don't understand this. But MJ, he went to I seen MJ in the parks. MJ come hoop at our park in the hundreds, Farmwood Park. He come play over there. He done made numerous stops at plenty of parks. MJ then came to whatever event. MJ, IIT, Chicago State, some of the best summer league basketball people ever seen. MJ played in those events. MJ played when he was at Chicago State playing in the summer league, standing room only. Chicago, we had to respect that. We had to respect that. Everybody keeps saying he ain't done nothing for the community. God damn it, he did do something for the community. When he came out to Chicago State and IIT, he played. You know why? Every kid got to see MJ in person that couldn't afford it. Couldn't afford to go watch him at the United Center. So people like, man, every kid got to see MJ and dream, how can I be like Mike? You can touch Mike, you can see Mike. So Mike has done everything in Chicago. So when people say, oh man, Mike ain't, no, that's a lie. That's people who don't know MJ. MJ know everybody from the streets to the every street person he know, because he go hang out in everybody's neighborhood, know who they are. Yeah. I mean, Mike didn't have no security walking around in Chicago. Like, come on, man. We got to give MJ his respect, right? Man. Got
MJ be out there gambling.
Right. I mean, MJ
talking shit.
MJ everywhere. And I will say this, I don't know too many athletes that has been every single place in Chicago and hung out like with him on a constant basis. I mean, one person come to mind is Antoine Walker. Antoine Walker, that's
of that stature.
Yeah, that's right. Where he goes everywhere and hang out with everybody, and then don't look don't judge people. Everybody is, he treat with respect.
No security.
No security.
Ain't nobody gonna touch him.
No nothing. And he's out here, So, when guys do that and you say a MJ doing that, just making himself available to the community and to the neighborhood, I mean, we can't take that away from MJ.
Shout out to D Rose though. Shout out to D Rose.
Yeah.
He's always gonna be our hometown hero, but
Yeah.
Mike put us on the map.
Yeah, D Rose is definitely a
made the
hometown
Bulls.
hero. Yeah, from Inglewood to Simeon, we love D Rose. Like D Rose is definitely, he's on that mantle. But he's on that mantle when you start talking about him, Isaiah, Jabari Parker, Antoine Walker, Mark Aguirre. He's on that mantle with them. With those guys. So D Rose, I mean, just to be talking about D Rose or Michael Jordan, I'm sure D Rose, even himself, man, to be mentioned with Michael
In the
Jordan
same conversation.
the city, to be in the conversation, that's a lot, man.
No,
That's a lot. But shout out to both of them. Shout out to everybody who gave back to our city.
Yep.
D Rose was electrifying in his
Man.
in his prime though.
Yeah, D Rose, I mean, man, what he did at Simeon was unreal. I mean, you go to his games, the games are packed. Every single game, D Rose, putting on for his city. So, man, big shout to D Rose, and he stayed in Chicago all 4 years. He did that, and he moved back here. So, I like D Rose.
Mm-hmm.
Let's switch gears a little bit. AAU, then versus now. How different is AAU basketball today compared to when your father built Mac Irvin Fire?
Well, I think a lot of kids don't know the history. And I would say the difference today is understand the history, understand where y'all come from. The only way you know where you're going is understand where you come from. A lot of kids today don't understand what this about. This about putting your city on your back and going places and showing everybody what your city is about. And I think nowadays, AAU, the difference is you got a lot of people who just, and I would say this, actually, I would say this, since I run across a lot of great people at AAU. I ain't going to let the 10, 15% mess up what you think about AAU yesterday and today. But a lot of people understand the mission of AAU is let me go out, let me show the world who I am, and let me build a name for myself. The difference is, also, probably one of the differences is coaching. You can't coach as hard as you used to. You coach a kid hard now, they'll be like, oh, let me leave. Let me go to another program. Let me go out of the state and play, Let me get away from Chicago. They too hard on me. Let me go somewhere where it's easy,
They build different.
That's the difference now, Back then, you get hard on the kid going, man, he going to rise to the occasion and say, man, let me hoop, let me play, I ain't running nowhere. This what it is. But now you get some of that. You still get 10, 15% who runs from, who runs from it. So that's the part that we got to fix.
Everybody want to hear what they want to hear.
Everybody want to hear what they want to hear. But when you tell somebody the truth, they don't want to hear it. So that's the difference now.
Definitely. Is social media helping or hurting young athletes?
Social media, it helps. Me being a promoter, a marketing guy, it helps because now, we can upload that video and shoot and get that out to the coaches right away. Upload that video, and a lot of people see you. So it helps, but on the other hand, it hurts because it does help to get your information out there. But then you got so many people that always want to DM athletes and DM players and saying what I can do for you or what I can, so that's the bad thing about it, like you accessible. I think that once the kids understand how to navigate not being so accessible, you got to use it to your advantage, social media. And that's, I think that's the good thing about it.
I have to, nephew DK, I'll be having to be on them, man. Stop giving me your number out to people. Don't talk to you. If they want to talk to you, they got to talk to me. You
Exactly.
Know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Just be a kid and play ball. You know what I'm saying?
Man.
You know how many grown weirdos I had to tell them, man, stop calling my nephew, man.
Yeah.
I had to really get gangsta on him, like, man, listen, man.
Man, he got family here. Like he ain't got no family. No, he got a family. Like, no, I understand because they just want to. It's not making sense. Let the kid be a kid because that's what's gonna make it. He, him being a kid, not you telling him how great he is.
You just want to attach yourself to something, man. Get out of here.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's like a breath of fresh air talking to you, man, about these sports. Are kids getting recruited too early today?
No, I say they not getting recruited too early because nowadays I have to alert a lot of college coaches about younger kids because if I ain't doing it, somebody else is, So I think it's best that they know who they are and watch their development. From our program, we got coaches, that's coaching. They come from our program, come from Chicago. Shout out to Ron Chin Coleman, associate head coach down at Arkansas. You got Emmanuel Dildy over at Duke. You got Will Bailey over in South Carolina. You got Zach down at Gonzaga. You got my brother Nick Irvin down at Arizona State. So we have a base where Billy Garrett down at the all-black school, Bethune-Cookman, we're registered. So we have a base where we send stuff out even to, all our friends and so they can know who they are because you want them to know who they are. And then each year you want to say he got better. Look. And then also he's a great kid. So they want to know about the kids as early as 8th grade. And then they want to start recruiting them around their sophomore year.
I can dig it. What mistakes do young players make trying to chase fame instead of developing their skills?
The mistake they make trying to develop their skills?
I guess that's a pretty self-explanatory.
Well, the mistake I think some of them make is getting now. You got some players who don't play; they just train and don't play, and I think that's a mistake. I think that you can't be a cone baby in this game where I'm just a workout guy, cone baby. No, you got to play and work out. You got to do both. And I think once the players understand that, play and work out, then that's when you get the best out your game. So I tell all our kids, man, play and work out, do both, so you can maximize your ability.
How much is too much of playing and, I understand you have to strengthen development and conditioning, but how much is too much playing? Like you only get a certain amount of longevity with sports.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
How do you balance that not burning the kid out and, so he can, be fresh if he has a long career?
That's a good question. Taking it from me, I was in Sports Illustrated as the best 6th grader in the country back when I was coming up.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
What year was this?
Man. Marcus Liberty was in the edition. He was the best. He was in there. Kenny Anderson was in there. Damon Bailey, I forgot what year it was, but man. So I used to play basketball all the time early on. I played small fry at an early age. We the first team from Chicago beat Puerto Rico and won a national championship. And then 6th grade, I was declared the best 6th grader in the country. So I was playing all the time. Had a lot of expectations. My oldest brother, they all played. My oldest brother got drafted in the first round of the NBA. And then my other brothers all went to college and started in colleges. So I was next to the youngest, so there was a lot of pressure on me. So I played every day. But about time I got to when high school, I hit a bump in the road. I didn't, things didn't go my way. And then I kind of got frustrated. And then, it kind of wears you out when things don't go your way because I was working so hard at an early age every day. So I tell kids, like, this is another reason I got to coaching because I lived through it. You don't burn yourself out. You can't burn yourself out. You always got to make it fun. When I was coming up, it was a job. This was I got to follow my brothers. That's what I got to do, And I was serious about it, Ran at night, trained, everything. And I just think that if you don't make it fun, you can burn yourself out. So you gotta, it gotta be even along the way.
It can't be all work and no play.
It can't be all work and no play. But you said it. You said something earlier. You said be a kid. Be a kid, have fun. That's part of being a kid. Having fun. But you can't. You got to learn how to balance it. And what I have brought to our organization is teaching kids how to balance that out. And once you balance that out, then you
the sky's the limit.
Yeah.
I'll be on the sideline with nephew all the time, him and his new system over at Mount Carmel. I'm like, I understand it's different, it's structured, you gotta work within the system now. But bring that fun back that you brought from Beasley.
Yes.
Have fun.
Yeah.
Loosen up. You know what I'm saying?
Gotta loosen up, have fun. Everything can't be, and that's one thing about coaching too. Coaches have to make it fun.
Yeah.
Gotta make it fun.
When kids come into your program, what's more important, basketball talent or character?
Now we're in 2025.
2026.
2026. We're in 2026. 25, 26.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, 25, 26. You gotta have both. Back in the day when we was coming up, it wasn't about the character. My father can fix any character. If you can play, he's gonna work with you. He's gonna figure it out with you.
He's gonna your attitude.
Yeah, your attitude.
Yeah.
He gonna fix that. Now it's 50-50. I still try to take on some kids I try to fix, but it can't just be all out. It gotta be, they gotta have both.
Gotta have a balance. Yeah. Because with NIL and all of that, like you gotta have character. So
yeah.
What advice do you give young players trying to make it?
Just trying to make it, know where you come from, know it's possible. You can make it. I always dream big, man. I tell, that's one thing my father has taught me and is instilled in me, and I give it to the kids. Think big. If you think you can get to the NBA, then let's do it. Let's get there. Man, don't, it's possible, and coming from Chicago, anything is possible. So I tell kids, you want to get there, think you're going to get there, and you will get there.
Man, that's what I'm all about, like really putting Chicago on the map. We have some of the coolest individuals that come out of Chicago, and I just feel like we ain't never really got our just do our shake. New York has had their run, you know what I'm saying, where all of their individuals, so that's why we created this platform, Chicago Blueprint, of bringing out Chicago.
And shout out to this platform, shout out to the Blueprint, that bringing Chicago out. I think, when I hear other people talk about our cities, we got enough great ones here that can care about our city and talk about our city. And I think we need more people like you and more people, who getting our word out about our city. I just think it's, our city is great.
It's a story that needs to be told.
You
know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We're not all about killing and violence, you know what I'm saying, as the media portrays.
As the media portrays, all about killing and violence. Like, no, we see it, I mean, we have seen it, but that's not, our city is much way bigger than that. Don't take what's 5% going on in our city and make it our narrative. No, it's not. We got a lot of kids who make it.
Yeah, yes, we do. Great city to visit in the summertime when the weather's nice.
Yeah.
Okay, what are parents getting wrong in youth sports today?
One thing parents probably getting wrong is, I think sometimes parents might get wrong where they think their kid automatically a superstar, and they don't want to, they not the parent no more. They are the fan now. They like the brother and sister. They don't want to be, they ain't the parent no more. Now the kid running everything, running the household. I think that's where they're getting it wrong. you got to be the parent, you know,
At all times.
yeah, at all times, because he need to understand respect. And I think where these parents mess up, and I see it happening so many times. They start running you, and you know, as a parent, they looking like you like no. But the ones that stay firm on their kids and be the parent, them the ones that the kids always gonna respect.
Yeah, you've helped develop some incredible talents through Mac Irving. Out of all the players you've seen come through your program, was there one moment where you watched a kid play and thought this one is special?
Man, I started coaching early in the summer leagues early when, you know, I was a player and I seen Antoine Walker early. And I said, man, he got some Magic Johnson in him. Antoine had a lot of, he had a lot of stuff to his game. So as a player, I kind of sensed that. Another guy I ran to, my other best friend, was Sean Marion. I was young and I was coaching him, and I'm his age, and the things he was doing out on the court. And I said, man, he's different, you know. And when you look at his numbers in the NBA, he's different, you know.
Definitely was.
Jersey in Phoenix.
Yeah.
But then when I got older and took over the program, Jabari Parker. Jabari Parker, man. Jabari Parker, man. Woo, Jabari Parker. Jabari, that was one kid I coached where I said, I'm never out of a game. I watched him dominate from start to finish. And Jabari, what he brought at the table was 6'9", put it on the deck, athletic, can shoot the three. Jabari was different. And I haven't, and I had, what's crazy, I had Jahlil Okafor right after Jabari, who's ranked #1 in the country. And Jahlil was just a powerful, unstoppable center. But Jabari was, he was different. He was different. And I still haven't seen, and if he didn't have them knee surgeries, and he's still a great player.
Still a great player, yeah.
Yeah, still a great player. Even with the knee surgery, still a great player. But I think that if the world would have seen Jabari Parker at this, he would have. There's no way Jabari couldn't have went down as probably one of the top 5 greats to ever play this game if he would have just stayed on pace, because he was different. Yeah, he was different, and he was the one that had it from athletic top to bottom. And the smartest player I ever coached was Jalen Brunson. I mean, Jalen was the smartest player I coached. You know, he wasn't 6'9", he wasn't athletic, but he thought the game, and he was always a winner. He always willed us to. We won tournaments with Jalen Brunson, but he was the smartest player I coached.
You can see that still to this day on the court with him. He's not the biggest guy, but he gonna outthink you.
Yeah, he can outthink you, and that's what he's doing now in the NBA. He's outthinking everybody.
Mm-hmm.
People talk about Mike Irvin. Years from now, what do you want your legacy to be in Chicago basketball?
I want my legacy to be that, man, I gave it all to all my kids I coach. I gave it all on and off the court. That's what I put everything I have into the kids. And I want my legacy to be like, man, he can get the best out of any kid. You know, that was like when I went back to coach high school a few years ago. And the reason I coached high school was to try to get Chicago back to that platform of what Sonny Cox and Bob Hembrick and the Don Pittmans did, where I wanted to get back to pour into the kids to get more out of them. And I thought it was a gap where you had a lot of high school players, coaches fall off, and, you know, who went on to other things. But I stepped into a role to help make kids, because that's what I do. It's like charity work. I never got paid for it, We got paid, but it wasn't, it's charity. But I can step into any role to try to get the best out of kids. And that's what I'm doing with Mac Irvin Fire. I'm putting my heart and soul into each one of them and watch it through. And the success and the gratification at the end of the day is when they make it. I look at the TV and they making it like, man, that's where it's at. But I want to make pros. I want to make student athletes. I want to make kids be the best they could be, and that's what I want to do, and that's what I love doing.
That's love, and say you had a part of that, man. That's what's up. Would you ever go back to coaching high school?
High school? Yeah. They gotta appreciate me, man. And I think everybody appreciate me. I think CPS, would I go back coaching CPS? I don't know. I think right now they in a transition where they trying to get the education together first, because right now the education, it's only so many schools that's good in CPS education-wise, and they got this turnover with new CEO and the mayor even, being new in his role, that they haven't got to sports yet. And I just wish one day they will get to sports and focus on sports, because sports is what we have, what kids have, and that's an outlet for them.
Their outlet,
to not be on the streets. And I just hope that administration will focus on sports and quit trying to down people that's been trying to help. It's a lot of principals that's been let go at CPS, Black principals that's been trying to help. And every time something come up, CPS, they're not really looking at the big picture. And I think once CPS get it, look at the big picture and understand sports is a part of our community, then I think that's when I don't mind going back and probably helping. Wherever I'm needed, I help. Like I said, it's charity. Wherever I'm needed, I'm willing to help our community. Now, would I stay in the coach for? No, I don't. I don't want to do that. I just think if I'm needed to help lift Chicago basketball, I'll do it. One more time, I'll do it to lift it. But right now, I think my calling right now is to lift AAU basketball, and then support the kids that's in these high schools to try to see where they going wrong at. Try to help out some coaches. Tell them how to create better ball players. So that's my lane right now. But in the future, who knows? I mean, if CPS, get to the sports level and start putting more into sports than
academics.
Huh?
Into the academics.
Yeah. I mean, when I was at Kenwood, all the kids had a 3.5 overall GPA. Everybody went to college. Every single kid on that team went to college. We had some great teams. But for CPS to be great in basketball again, because it's kind of falling off, the administration have to have some sports people inside there that can help out sports, because they don't. Education, sports, they all go the same. You look at college, University of Illinois, University of Kentucky.
That's what funds the education.
Right. Everybody got sports, and they supporting sports. They not trying to knock down sports. They support it. Every university support sports. So, I just, once they get back to that, then I'll consider it.
Well, man, thanks for coming out, man. Thanks for supporting us on this platform and your positive energy. Look forward to having you back with some you by yourself for a part 2, or bring some of these individuals that you spoke upon, and let's just talk about Chicago and sports and life in Chicago, man.
I know. Thanks for you guys for having this platform, and I'd love to come back, love to bring some more people back to talk about Chicago, to continue to get the word out.
Yes, sir. Most definitely.
Yeah.
All right now. Mike Irvin, we out.